Today, we are going to replace the rotors and brake pads on this 2015 Kia Rio. This should work on the 2012 to 2017 model, and this should also be the same process as the Hyundai Accent between the same years. So, with no further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is make sure the e-brake's up and tuck up your wheels. So I first jacked the car up by that spot right there and put my jack stand on the pinch weld. And to get this left side, I'm jacking up by the subframe. Since I'm doing all four brake rotors and brake pads, I'm also going to jack up the back. And I'm going to keep that jack right there. And of course you have to do a shake test. Because the last thing you want is for this thing to come down with you under the car, or even next to the car. That's scary. Be smart, unlike me, and break loose these nuts when the car's on the ground. It takes a 21. And put the tire underneath the car just for extra security. Okay, so I lost footage of me doing the other side, so I'm gonna show you this side. We have the caliper right here, brake pads, and it has 4 total bolts that we need to move on the back. 2, 3, and there's one more right here. And the big one is 17. Just break the suckers loose. All nuts are now broken. These nuts, you don't want any other nuts broken. Take off these bolts. Grab a bungee or something. You could also use like a rope or something, as long as you can tie it up somewhere. Now it comes right out all together. And these rotors, you can feel the hard grooves in it. And you don't want to feel those type of grooves in a rotor. The driver's side is much, much worse. You don't want hard grooves in your rotors. Now it's time to move these bolts right here. You could use a Phillips head, but I have an impact Phillips to make this process a little bit easier. I recommend you use the same thing because these can strip so easily. So you get on the Phillips, lefty loosey, get it tight lefty, and you just hit it with a hammer. There you go. I'm trying not to make a lot of noise because I have someone living above me. It even has hard grooves on the back as well. No bueno. It's always a good idea to scrape off all the rust. All right, so we got these new rotors from PRQ or 1A Auto. Of course, you want to make sure this is the same rotor before you move the original rotor, because it would suck if you remove it. You got to put it back to old rotor because you didn't buy the correct rotors. Put some new gloves on, make sure they're clean, and let's pop the sucker open. All right, right there. Get some brake parts cleaner. A nice clean rag. Take notice of these bolt holes. Make sure you line them up correctly. I just kind of snug those up. Whenever you're changing out brake rotors, if they're warped and scratched, you need to make sure you change out the brake pads as well. Because I'm replacing the brake pads as well, I need to compress this cylinder here. I have this nifty tool I bought off of Amazon for 20 bucks, and it does a fantastic job. You don't need this, you can use a C-clamp if you have one, but having this tool will come in handy on the rear brakes. Since we have it, we're using it on the front brakes as well. And this adapter plate is gonna go right in that cylinder. It's only 20 bucks, I might as well just get one of these. And now tying that all the way up. Now watch this cylinder. Hold this nut and just spin away. That's all it can go, and you're done. Back it out and loosen this. Bungee this back up just in case. Now it's time to place the brake pads. I'm gonna pause the video real quick and tell you to watch to the very end because I talk about something very important and it's related to the motor. You should always replace the guides if the new parts come with the guides. Install the new guides. Grab some copper anti-seize. It will allow these brakes to move smoothly throughout the brake caliper. Usually brake pads come with them. These brake pads did, but I'm just using mine since I have some. And just apply it where the brake pads are going to contact the caliper. This mounting bracket gets torqued down between 59 and 72 foot-pounds. So grab your trusty handy Harbor Freight cheap torque wrench. Let's go ahead and grab the brake pad. Push it in on the bottom, preferably on the edge of the bottom. Then smush it in on the top. Do the same thing to the other side. If you don't have this on, your brakes can seize up, not work properly, cause a crash. It can be scary. All right, now grab the caliper. Yeah, it just slides right on. That's what I'm talking about. And this is how you would normally just replace the brake pads. Now the guide bolts are torqued down to 20 foot-pounds. You could just use a wrench, and I can get it to about 20 foot-pounds. Now I'm gonna torque it down for the sake that I'm working on someone's car. Super easy. You can throw the tire back on. But let's go ahead and do the back brakes. It's also a little chewed up, not as bad as the front. Place them as well because that's just a safe thing to do. There are 4 bolts back here, all 14. I'm not gonna need to show you because you saw me do the front. You can go ahead and release the e-brake so you can remove this. And this you can actually just sit here because it's being held by the e-brake and it's a pretty strong cable. Yeah. And that's how you do that. Grab your trusty wire brush. Now let's change your gloves. Here's the new pads. This gets pressed in, just like this. And these mounting bolts get torqued between 36 and 43 foot-pounds. Add the new brake pads. A good note is that the pad with the pin goes on the back. You see that? We need to compress it. Go and grab our fancy tool. Grab the correct adapter plate. In this case, it's the 4-prong. It gets attached by a magnet. You essentially line up those prongs with the divots on the piston. Now you tighten this guy. I just kind of go back and forth. There's a way you can hold that and do it, but I'm not doing that here. Time for these bolts. 20 foot-pounds, same as the front. I can't get a torque wrench up here, so I'm doing my snug method. Don't leave just yet. I have one more thing to tell you, and it's pretty important. All right, come here. Almost no oil on the dipstick. Do you know why? Because these cars like to burn oil. You can see the dipstick, how it's been getting so hot. I'm gonna top off the oil with the oil I have on hand. Be better than running it the way it is. And if you want to learn more issues about this Kia Rio or Hyundai Accent, then check out this video. It's Chris AutoMotivate. Always appreciate and respect one another. Have a great day or night in my case.